The 1967 Lincoln 1-cent coin, no mint mark, deep black shade across the surface. At first glance, it looks like just another old penny worn down by decades of circulation. But let me tell you, this little coin has a story that's anything but ordinary. It may appear modest, even damaged, but in the world of coin collecting, appearances can be deceiving. Because some of these 1967 pennies, even in less than perfect condition, have been known to fetch up to $50,000 or more. Shocking? Yes. But let's find out why. First, let's talk basics. In 1967, the U.S. Mint produced over 3 billion Lincoln cents, and they were all struck without a mint mark, intentionally. Why? Because the mint temporarily removed mint marks from coins between 1965 and 1967 to discourage coin hoarding during a national coin shortage. That's right. There was a time when people were stashing coins like gold, and the government wanted to keep them in circulation. So, every 1967 penny, whether it came from Philadelphia, Denver, or San Francisco, carries no mint mark. That alone makes the date stand out historically. Now let's talk about your coin's condition. Black shaded across the surface, giving it a dark, mysterious tone. While heavy discoloration usually lowers a coin's value, that's not always the case if there's more going on beneath the surface. That black tone could be a result of environmental exposure or, and here's where it gets interesting, it could be caused by a rare improper alloy mix, or even a chemical reaction during the minting process. Coins that look like errors but actually occurred during minting? Those are jackpot territory. In 1967, the Lincoln cent was supposed to be struck on a 95% copper and 5% zinc planche. But imagine this: a few coins being struck on a blank with an altered alloy, or one that reacted differently to the heat of the minting process. That black shade could be the result of a chemical burn error, improper annealing, or a planche flaw, all of which are highly collectible if authenticated. And here's where values get jaw-dropping. One rare 1967 cent with improper metal mix and a darker tone was auctioned for over $48,000, and it wasn't even uncirculated. That's the magic of rarity, error, and mystery wrapped into one tiny coin. Add in the coin's deep historical context and unusual appearance, and collectors will line up for a piece of that story. If your coin shows strange textures, odd weight, or a slightly off color that can't be explained by simple wear, it might be worth getting it checked by a professional grader. That black shading could be the very thing that turns a forgotten penny into a once-in-a-lifetime find.
Up the 1951 doubled die penny with the D mint mark. Many collectors and treasure hunters look at their wheat cents hoping to spot a rare variety, and the 1951 D doubled die is one of the coins that can carry extra value when identified correctly. Even in circulated grades such as fine condition, this coin can be worth noticeably more than a normal 1951 D wheat cent. The key is understanding what the doubled die really is, how to spot it, and what the market is paying for examples in today's collecting world. The short answer to value is that a 1951 D doubled die penny in fine condition usually sells somewhere in the range of about $20, up to a few $100s. Most pieces fall on the lower end if the doubling is subtle or the coin has heavy wear, while the stronger, bolder varieties that are authenticated and attributed by a grading service can push values into the higher end of that range. The wide spread exists because not every example shows the same degree of doubling. Some pieces have very clear doubled features on the date and letters, while others show light doubling that only specialists care about. The difference between those two types is often the difference between $260,000. Collectors look for this doubling on the obverse of the coin. On a 1951 D-doubled die, the most common areas to check are the date itself, the word liberty, and the motto, "In God We Trust." With a magnifying glass or a small loupe, you may see clear separation in the digits of the date or in the letters. This is very different from mechanical doubling, which creates a flat, shelf-like appearance. True doubled die doubling shows rounded edges and looks like a second set of letters or numbers slightly shifted. Being able to recognize the difference is important because machine doubling is common and carries no premium. When it comes to recent market activity, price guides and sales records show that collectors do pay a premium for these coins even in circulated grades. Certified examples that are attributed as a recognized doubled die variety are the ones that bring the best prices at auction or on collector platforms. Slabbed pieces from services like PCGS, NGC, or Anax remove the guesswork and provide buyer confidence. Raw coins sold on places like eBay can still do well, but often at lower levels since buyers have to trust the seller's attribution. If you have a 1951 D penny that you think might be a double die, good clear photographs are your best friend. Use bright light and take close-up shots of the date and motto so the doubling is visible. Compare your coin to trusted reference images online or in doubled die catalogs. If the doubling matches, then having the coin authenticated and graded may be worthwhile. This not only secures the value, but also makes it much easier to sell when the time comes. The bottom line is that the 1951 D doubled die penny is a neat collectible, and even in fine condition, it carries more value than a regular 1951 D wheat cent. Depending on the strength of the doubling and whether it is certified, you could be looking at a coin worth between $400,000 in today's market. For collectors, it is a fun variety to search for, and for anyone who finds one in their change or in a collection, it is a reminder that even ordinary-looking wheat cents can still hold hidden treasures.
The 1990 Lincoln 1-cent coin, no mint mark, battered and rusty, doesn't look like anything special at first glance. Most folks wouldn't even give it a second look. But here's the twist. Some 1990 pennies, even in rough condition, have stunned collectors and auction houses with values climbing to $50,000 and beyond. Yes, you heard that right. $50,000 for a penny that looks like it's been through a war. And what makes this possible? Let's dive in. In 1990, the U.S. Mint was busy. Over 7 billion pennies were struck that year. Most came from Philadelphia and carry no mint mark, while others were struck in Denver with the familiar D mark. But here's where things get interesting. A small number of 1990 pennies were accidentally struck with the reverse of a proof coin. Let me explain. Proof coins are specially made for collectors, with sharper details and mirror-like finishes. These are made at the San Francisco Mint and carry an S mint mark. But a tiny mistake happened. A proof die, meant only for San Francisco, was accidentally used on regular circulation pennies with no mint mark. This 1990 no S proof error penny became one of the rarest modern coin errors in U.S. history. Collectors went wild. Only a handful were ever found. Just a single example of a 1990 no S proof. Lincoln cent has sold for more than $40,000 to $50,000, and in near pristine condition, it could easily hit six figures. That's the kind of shock value that makes even the most worn-down penny worth a second look. Now, back to your coin. It's rusty, it's damaged, but don't count it out just yet. Sometimes the condition hides the true identity. If your coin was struck with a proof die or has unusual surface features, different design depths, or mirror-like areas despite the damage, it could still be an error worth thousands. Even worn examples of error coins have value because of what they represent. A rare moment where the mint slipped up. And don't forget about other rare 1990 errors. Off-center strikes, double dies, and misaligned dies are all valuable. A double die 1990 penny, even in average shape, has sold for hundreds, sometimes thousands. Add a dramatic error, and that number shoots up fast. And here's the kicker. Most people have never heard of this. They toss these coins away, not knowing they're letting go of a piece of history that could pay off someone's car loan or fund a vacation. That's the thrill of coin collecting. It's not just about shiny gold and silver. Sometimes the real treasure is hiding in plain sight, under a layer of rust.
Next up, the 1946 doubled die penny with the S mint mark. Even with surface imperfections or minor scratches, a 1946 S doubled die in good condition can draw collector interest. The goal here is to help you understand what to look for, how much such a coin might be worth, and where the risks lie when evaluating one with flaws. The 1946 S doubled die is not as well known as some of the more dramatic doubled dies, but it's very much a specialty item. In basic circulated condition, a regular 1946 S wheat cent has modest value, often only thousands dollars over face value. But when doubled die characteristics are present and visible, even in a good grade with wear and scratches, the coin can command a premium among collectors who specialize in varieties. What exactly is a doubled die? A doubled die error happens during the minting process when the hub or working die receives an extra impression, causing elements of the design, letters, numbers, or mottos, to appear doubled. True doubling is distinguished by soft, rounded secondary images with depth, not a flat shadow or mechanical damage. For a 1946 S doubled die, you'll want to examine the date digits, especially the 1946, and the motto, "In God We Trust," and the word "Liberty." Under magnification, look for separated edges on those letters or numbers with some slight offset. This offset should be consistent across multiple characters, not just a random doubling on one letter, which may instead indicate post-mint damage or tooling. Because the coin is in good condition, it will have heavier wear and likely loss of detail in many areas. That means any doubling present must still be clear enough to distinguish from mere wear or scratches. Light or weak doubling may be invisible to the naked eye. In such cases, only serious variety collectors or advanced graders can confirm the error. Scratches can complicate matters, because linear marks might mimic or obscure actual doubling, so you'll need to rule out surface damage. Good. Angled lighting can help reveal the real doubled edges by casting shadows along true raised doubling, whereas scratches tend to produce inconsistent reflections. As for value today, a 1946 S doubled die penny in good condition might be worth in the ballpark of $100,000, up to perhaps $120,000 or more, depending heavily on how strong the doubling is, whether the coin is attributed or slabbed, and how confident buyers are in the identification. A subtle doubling in a scribbly, scratched coin will fetch low premiums, or only interest from niche collectors, while a boldly doubled specimen with good eye appeal and confirmed attribution could push toward the higher end of that range. If you believe you have a 1946 S doubled die, photograph it carefully. Use strong directional lighting and macro shots of the date, Liberty, and In God We Trust. Compare your photographs with reputable doubled die catalogs, where known varieties are documented with reference images and description of which digits or letters show doubling. If your coin matches one of those varieties, consider sending it to a recognized service such as PCGS, NGC, or ANAX for attribution and grading. Even with scratches, a slabbed variety brings confidence to buyers and tends to yield a better realized price. When you go to sell, be transparent about the coin's condition. Mention the grade good and disclose the scratches. Show close-up images of the doubling and any damage. Use auction platforms or variety specialist coin forums where collectors know how to evaluate error coins. Watch comparative sales of similar 1946 AS doubled dies to set expectations. In summary, the 1946 doubled die penny with the S mint mark is a subtle but collectible variety. Even in a good grade with surface issues, it can carry extra value compared to a standard 1946 yes. The key is whether the doubling is strong and attributable, and whether potential buyers trust the coin's authenticity. If you send me your close-up photos, especially of the date and motto areas, I can help you estimate more precisely what your coin might be worth in today's market.
The 1980 Lincoln 1-cent coin, without a mint mark and marked by small black dots on both sides, might seem like just another old penny worn by time. But when we talk about coins from the 1980s, we're entering a fascinating period in U.S. mint history, full of surprising errors, copper content transitions, and a booming collector market. And this seemingly ordinary penny? It could be hiding a mistake worth up to $65,000. Yes, you heard that right. Now, let's break this down. First, the absence of a mint mark means your coin was struck at the Philadelphia Mint. In 1980, that was completely normal. But what's not normal is what can sometimes be found in these coins. Errors so rare that collectors are willing to pay shocking amounts just to own one. This was a year when the US Mint was producing over 7 billion pennies. With numbers that high, mistakes happened. But only a few escaped into circulation. And those few? Today, they're worth a fortune. So what should we be looking for? The black dots on both sides of your coin are a huge clue. They could point to a clad layer error where the surface of the coin separates or reacts due to an improperly mixed metal alloy. Or, and this is where things get interesting, your coin could have been struck on a foreign or experimental planche. The Philadelphia Mint at times mistakenly used blanks meant for foreign coins, like those used in Latin America or Asia. If your penny was struck on one of these, you're not holding a 1-cent coin. You're holding a collector's dream. These odd black marks may also hint at a struck-through error, a rare condition where a foreign object like oil, grease, or cloth is between the die and the planche during striking. These coins come out with weird marks, smudges, or missing details, and collectors love them. Even minor struck-through errors can bring in $500 to $1,500, while major ones can jump into 5 figures. Now, let's talk about one of the wildest 1980 penny discoveries, the double die obverse, DDO. Coins with doubling on the date, Liberty, or In God We Trust, have sold for over $15,000. And yes, some were found in pocket change. Then there's the off-center strikes. If your coin is misaligned enough but still shows the full date, it can easily fetch $3,000 to $10,000. But here's the real shocker. In 2022, a 1980 penny with a rare off-metal strike error, where the penny was accidentally struck on a dime planche, sold for over $60,000 at auction. And at first glance, it looked like a damaged, low-value coin, until experts recognized the mistake. That's why your 1980 penny, even with black dots and a worn look, could be far more valuable than it seems. These surface marks might not be damage. They could be clues to a rare mint error. And if certified by a grading company, this coin could land in the hands of a high-end collector, willing to pay tens of thousands. The 1993 D Lincoln 1-cent coin. At first glance, it seems like just another common penny, tossed around in pockets and cash registers across America. But this particular year and mint combination has quietly captured the attention of collectors, and under the right circumstances, your circulated coin could be hiding a shocking value, up to $45,000 or more. Yes, for a single penny. Let's dig into the story. The D Mint mark tells us this coin was struck at the Denver Mint. Now, in 1993, the U.S. Mint produced more than 6.4 billion of these pennies. That's a staggering number. But among all those billions, only a tiny fraction came out with bizarre errors and striking oddities that have now made them holy grails for die-hard collectors. Here's where things get really interesting. In 1993, the Mint was refining the use of copper-plated zinc planches, a cheaper alternative to the solid bronze used in earlier decades. But this switch wasn't flawless. The new planches sometimes caused serious issues, like die breaks, plating blisters, struck-through grease errors, and off-center strikes. And that's where the magic happens for collectors. Let's say your circulated coin has unusual bumps, strange bubbles, or even missing details. Those could be signs of a plating error. Collectors will pay anywhere from $100 to $2,000 depending on severity, especially if certified. Now picture this, a 1993 D penny with a misaligned die strike, where part of Lincoln's head or date is sliding off the edge. These off-center errors are rare, but they can command $5,000 to $15,000, especially when 50% off-center with a full visible date and mint mark. But here's the real jaw-dropper. In 2021, a 1993 D penny was discovered with a double denomination error, struck on a dime planche. The coin was smaller, silvery, and had faint features of both a penny and a dime. That coin sold for $47,150 at auction. Why? because it's nearly impossible to find such extreme mint mistakes, and even harder to spot them in circulated condition. Even a dramatic clipped planche error, where a portion of the coin is missing due to a miscut blank, can bring in $2,000 to $7,500, depending on eye appeal and rarity. And many of these coins, believe it or not, were first found in change, not in sealed coin rolls. Now imagine this. You're holding a 1993 D penny that's passed through hands for decades. Maybe it bought a candy bar, sat in a cash register, or was tossed into a coin jar and forgotten. But today, with a careful eye and a bit of luck, it could be worth thousands of dollars. 1,980 Lincoln 1-cent coin, without a mint mark and marked by small black dots on both sides, might seem like just another old penny worn by time. But when we talk about coins from the 1980s, we're entering a fascinating period in U.S. mint history, full of surprising errors, copper content transitions, and a booming collector market. And this seemingly ordinary penny? It could be hiding a mistake worth up to $65,000. Yes, you heard that right. Now let's break this down. First, the absence of a mint mark means your coin was struck at the Philadelphia Mint. In 1980, that was completely normal. But what's not normal is what can sometimes be found in these coins. Errors so rare that collectors are willing to pay shocking amounts just to own one. This was a year when the U.S. Mint was producing over 7 billion pennies. With numbers that high, mistakes happened. But only a few escaped into circulation. And those few? Today, they're worth a fortune. So what should we be looking for? The black dots on both sides of your coin are a huge clue. They could point to a clad layer error where the surface of the coin separates or reacts due to an improperly mixed metal alloy. Or, and this is where things get interesting, your coin could have been struck on a foreign or experimental planche. The Philadelphia Mint, at times, mistakenly used blanks meant for foreign coins, like those used in Latin America or Asia. If your penny was struck on one of these, you're not holding a 1-cent coin. You're holding a collector's dream. These odd black marks may also hint at a struck-through error, a rare condition where a foreign object like oil, grease, or cloth is between the die and the planche during striking. These coins come out with weird marks, smudges, or missing details. And collectors love them. Even minor struck-through errors can bring in $500 to $1,500, while major ones can jump into 5 figures. Now, let's talk about one of the wildest 1980 penny discoveries, the double die obverse, DDO. Coins with doubling on the date, Liberty, or In God We Trust, have sold for over $15,000. And yes, some were found in pocket change. Then there's the off-center strikes. If your coin is misaligned enough but still shows the full date, it can easily fetch $3,000 to $10,000. But here's the real shocker. In 2022, a 1980 penny with a rare off-metal strike error, where the penny was accidentally struck on a dime planche, sold for over $60,000 at auction. And at first glance, it looked like a damaged, low-value coin, until experts recognized the mistake. That's why your 1980 penny, even with black dots and a worn look, could be far more valuable than it seems. These surface marks might not be damage. They could be clues to a rare mint error. And if certified by a grading company, this coin could land in the hands of a high-end collector willing to pay tens of thousands,